Hello everyone, Jessica here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a Lawn Fawn mashup using Beam Me Up and Pick Up the Patch stamp sets. So I know it's been a bit since I have uploaded a video and I appreciate everybody for sticking with me. Alright, now I'm using the small stamp platform and I'm just stamping down some of the pumpkins from the Pick Up the Patch Lawn Fawn set. And I'm using Gina Amalgam ink. I do stamp these several times. And this is Neenah 110 pound solar white cardstock. And I'm also going to stamp the little alien guy. This is one of the larger aliens. There's 3 different styles and 2 sizes for each one. So this one I'm going to be stamping and using him with the open pumpkin. So I'm going to do some Copic coloring, and I have sped this up quite a bit, so it's pretty quick. And this is just some simple coloring. I'm laying down the bright yellow first, and then I go in with the medium color and then the darker shade and kind of blend all those together. And then I take my YR27 and use that around the edges and also to create the lines of the pumpkins. I do the lines by making dots, just to add some texture. And I'm also going to use a R08 Copic marker. This is a very kind of an orangey red. And that's just going to darken up a lot of those outer edges and those lines. And then I just color the stems in green. And I'm also going to color the little alien guy in green. I do a lot of blending with him, so I add in a little bit of that same yellow that I had used on the pumpkins. And then I add in the darker shade. And I do have a list of all the markers that I use on my blog. Just all the colors that I use in case you're curious. For the little spoon and knife, I just simply color it with a light tan color and a little bit of yellow. And I do darken those up, I believe, too, so a little later. So I wanted to create a scene where it looked like the alien was carving pumpkins. And I wanted him to look like he was carving little aliens into his pumpkins. So I'm taking 2 of the other alien styles, and these ones are the smaller ones, and they fit right into these 2 pumpkins. I'm first going to stamp those using the Simon Says Stamp Smoke Gray ink pad. And that's because I'm going to be using the Lawn Fawn Glow in the Dark embossing powder. And I wanted to make sure that it would be dark enough to see not only in the dark but also in the light. It's kind of, I don't know if it really made a difference, but this is what I did. Okay, I'm going to layer this again. So I'm stamping the embossing ink over the top of the embossing powder that I had just heat set. And then I pour that over. I am good to heat set that. And if you look closely, you can see there's quite a bit of powder residue from that embossing powder. It does not stick to the paper. And then I can just use this makeup brush that I use for a lot of different things and just brush away all that powder residue. I'm also going to take that really bright yellow Copic marker. I'm just going to lighten the alien inside of the alien images. That way they are a little more noticeable. Using some washi tape, I can line up those dies and secure them. That way they don't pop off and ruin my coloring. And then I can gently peel that away after running it through my Big Shot, and you'll see all those little die cuts that I just made. And I'm gonna kind of set those aside. I'm also using the reversed scallop stitched rectangle die. That's such a long name, but I'm using the second to largest, and this will just create a fun scallop stitched circle, or not a circle, it's a rectangle. So create a rectangle window. And I'm also using the little Picket fence border die just to create a hillside effect. I do have a few other hillside dies from Paper Tray Ink. This is just a different way to use dies if you don't have those. So just find one with a nice curve to it, or a curve that you like, or a shape that you like, and trace it and then cut it out. So it's something that I have done quite a bit. So now I'm going to use my very dried up Distress Oxide Black Soot ink pad. You can see it doesn't go down very well. I do re-ink it, and then I can get that black ink blend a little darker. I'm using the Copic Opaque White, and it doesn't bleed through, so this will not pick up any of the ink from the black soot, so it does stay that nice bright white and won't turn like a gray or anything. I'm going to take a water brush and then lay a little bit of that onto a acrylic block and then water it down, and then I can create a nice splatter. I set that aside to dry, and then I'm going to work on the sentiment. I'm using two of my favorite Earthling, which is from the Beam Me Up, and then the other one is from the Pick of the Patch. So I'm combining those two sets with the sentiments also. And I heat embossed those with Ranger White embossing powder onto Simon Says Stamp Lipstick Red Cardstock. For the inside, I'm going to combine the sentiments again from both sets. So it says, have an out of this world Halloween, which I thought was pretty fitting. And then I'm going to use two of the same pumpkins that I used on the front and stamp those with Distress Oxide inks in two different colors of oranges on that lower right. And I'm going to take those sentiments that I had heat embossed on that red cardstock and trim them down into smaller strips. I also cut a bunch of small strips of white fun foam that I can layer behind that window that I had cut using that reverse scallop rectangle die. And I'm going to use that white foam to pop up that window off of the card base. And the card base is actually where I had ink blended that black soot oxide onto. So now I'm going to add the Desert Storm cardstock, the hillside, behind the window. And I'm using multimedia matte glue for all of this. I have tried other glue and I just keep going back to this one. So if it works, don't change it, I guess. But I do like trying new things. So we'll see how long I stick with this one again. Now I'm going to add glue to the entire piece. I also add a little bit of actual tape adhesive with my ATG to that craft cardstock too, just in case. I don't know why I mixed the two. And now I'm going to layer that onto the card base, and you'll see and then you'll kind of see the scene forming. To build my scene, I'm layering the pumpkins with the aliens first, figure out where I wanted to put them, and then I'm going to use some pop-up circle dots for that pumpkin with the lid cut out. And I'm going to set the alien beside that so that it looks like he's inside the pumpkin. And I'm just going to add the top of the pumpkin with the stem on top of his head. Well, I guess his eyes, but I thought it looked cute. And then I also added some foam circles to that other solid pumpkin. And then I can adhere the glow-in-the-dark alien pumpkins where I want to put them. There's that one little stamp that looks like a pile of pumpkin innards, and I'm going to set that off to the side of the alien. And then there's also a little knife that I can add. And I also added the spoon too, so it looks like he's been scooping out all those pumpkin innards. Now I can add the sentiment. I'm just going to adhere those to that top left-hand corner. I left a lot of overhang on those, so I can easily just trim those off and get them exactly where I wanted to. I pulled out that Stardust jelly roll pen. And this pen is super sparkly and is one of my favorites for adding stars and shimmer. And then I add it to the knife too, just for an extra sparkle. You can kind of see here where I added white highlights with the Signo gel pen. And you can see where the Copic ink started to bleed into that gel. And then just the last final step, I take a medium gray pencil and color in shadows to all of the images on this little pumpkin alien scene. So I think this Lawn Fawn glow-in-the-dark embossing powder is really fun. This is a low light picture of it, so you can actually see the glow-in-the-dark effect of embossing powder. It's not something that will glow in the dark all night or anything, but it is a fun little element, something a little special that you can add. And I think it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to using that more often. So I hope you enjoyed this card. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. You can connect with me on Instagram or email me directly or comment below with any questions you might have about card making. All the products I used today are linked on my blog. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to see the latest videos from me. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Meh, meh.